Hello to everybody. Welcome to the April edition, 2026, of the Best of GD series. This month is a little more than a month. It's actually like 2 months. Things always get behind around these parts. I've just had a lot to deal with in April and May. So currently it's late May as I'm recording this, finishing the month, yada yada. And obviously the video is coming out in late May. But that's alright. We get back on track at some point in time. And with the open schedule I've got for the next couple of months, I think we'll be in good shape. Anyway, let's just talk about some particular things with this edition. Really the only super notable thing I have to say on this one is that I did change living arrangements about halfway through. About halfway through the video, you'll hear a little bit more echo probably. It won't be anything terribly distracting probably, but there will be a little more echo in the audio from where I've moved back into my usual living space. But that's really all there is to it. Otherwise, it's mostly going to be demons as usual, but there's some unique things throughout that you'll be able to see that will be relatively interesting, I would hope. But nothing super special to the progression of the month or anything like that. Obviously, there were some weeklies and gauntlets and stuff that I would want to talk about. I'll talk about those in the May edition, though, because the schedule's a little out of whack right now. But I will be moving certain gauntlet and weekly levels to that video, even though they were completed before some other levels in this video. But it'll all make sense in due time. That's all I really have to say for this one. Just enjoy the completions, and yeah, hope you have a wonderful day. Enjoy. Okay. Sweet. Did it. Oh, this was a collab, really? I guess I can see it, now that I'm thinking about it. It didn't really cross my mind, because, you know, I don't know, I just kind of assumed Debihan would have made another, like, actual level by now, I guess. Well, I haven't seen this, but I was kind of assuming, whatever. It doesn't matter who made it. I'll talk about the level itself. I don't have a lot to say, though. It's kind of like hyperspace and that kind of level, but like a little bit better. I think there are some fun parts in this, but a lot of it is just lackluster flow gameplay, as you more or less expect. Visuals are fine. I think some parts look pretty good. Some parts are just kind of whatever. The biggest issue I feel like is probably the orbs, because a lot of the orbs are like hard to see. They've got stuff layered on them, but there's just so little to say. It's just kind of like okay, fine. I don't care for this gameplay style, and it does feel like it's pretty poorly made. But I don't know. I just don't have the motivation to talk about this one right now for some reason. It's okay. I don't hate it. Is that good enough? I don't know. Whatever. We take those, I guess. Cool. 2 ice shards. Love to see that. Getting up there in the numbers. Is that it? No, there's one more part, okay. Okay. Heartbreaker. Dude, I hate to be, like, so, like, downtrodden for the first couple of levels of this video, both of which are legendaries. BPI, you are better than this. You are above this. Why? Why is this, like... It's not even that I hate this level. It is like a solid C tier. It is not awful. But BPI... BPI... Oh, no. No, I mean, BPI. BPI. Homie. You made Initiation, and Kingdom of Hearts, and Boundless, and Punch, and Point of View. So why the hell is this flashy garbage, but those ones aren't? This is such a... Okay, Punch is an auto, so I guess it's more or less the same. But, like, you do so good. You do so good, and then you make this, and the gameplay is just, like, not it, man. It just isn't. It just doesn't play well. I don't want to be such a loser in this video, man. I want to be, like, happy to be playing cool new demons. But then they just aren't that good. And I don't know what to say. Like, again, I'm not trying to be a hater. I don't think it's an awful level. It's, like, a decent C tier, but it's just knowing what it could have been. Because when we know a creator is good, and they start to make levels that cash in on flashiness and visuals and sacrifice their gameplay, that's always concerning, because that gives a bad idea of what's to come in future levels. It's always scary. I feel like we're seeing that with Vido as well. I said this already. We've gone from some really solid stuff to stuff that I can't see the gameplay in, and this is a similar case. I don't know. I'm not a fan of what this level stands for. Again, I won't really hold that against level itself because I still think there's a creative vision here. It doesn't feel soulless. If it did feel soulless, I would probably be more inclined to lean towards a D tier. No, I still think BPI put the passion and creativity into this level, but like seriously at expense of the playability. And it's really, really disappointing. I do not want this to be the direction we are going. But if that's gonna be how it is, I will be very disappointed because I think there's a lot of potential for BPI to keep making really good stuff. And if that doesn't come through, then that'll probably be a little bit hurtful. Okay. Downtrodden spiel over. Hopefully the next level I play is like moderately good. Okay, that's an easy one to rebeat, I guess. Yeah, okay, I forgot to record it the first time, but it's okay. It's easy enough, and it's actually really fun. I'll just give my little review again. I'm probably going to abbreviate it from the last time, because it's still not like that much to say. I think the chaotic design is really cool. I think it fits the gameplay well, just because, like, you know, there's like some controlled chaos to it, where the structures are laid out neatly while the visuals sort of do their own thing. The gameplay is really cool in itself because the way that it forces you to buffer certain orbs kind of plays with the way each line of orbs works, so you have to kind of think about it differently. It's a bit of a puzzle in and of itself, but I think it's pretty neat. That's about all I have to say last time. I think it's really fun. The gameplay is definitely the carrying factor. Again, there are some weird parts where the visuals do sort of obscure the gameplay, especially in the spider at the end. But I just think faster-paced gameplay in this sort of chaotic style, it doesn't always work perfectly. And this is definitely one of those cases, but I still had enough fun with the raw gameplay and just the smoothness of the level that I can give it a pretty solid 7. That's a good one. It's very easy for a hard demon. I also said that. But that's totally okay with me because I am not super interested in pouring several hours into levels right now. I would like to get through as much as I can, as quickly as I can. That's just how it's going to be. Good stuff. That's about it. Okay, that was pretty awesome. I did not see that. Okay, I like how it obscures that in practice. That's really funny. Okay, that's a good level. I feel like the camera was a little bit wacky, and the gameplay was a little hard to understand at sometimes. A lot of layered orbs and portals, which I don't love, but I don't really hate it either. It's pretty fun. The flow of the level is good, even if the gameplay is a little bit stagnated sometimes. Somewhere in the B tier, I would put this. I was honestly I was more disappointed than anything just because I was hoping for some sort of like liminal space level. This kind of seemed like it was trying to do a Windows XP sort of deal with like the blue sky and the green hills. And I guess that's what this part is going for, but most of it is just kind of generic tech level, which still looks really good. I think the designs and effects are sick. But it did feel just like a little, like, I don't know, it didn't feel super inspired to me, I guess. Not bad all around, though. I quite enjoyed this level, for the most part. The second coin scared me because I thought it was just some stupid timing, but apparently you just hold it the dual portal and it works. So that made me happy. About all I had to say on it, though. Not a bad level all around. I think it's a good choice for a weekly, especially. Nice and thematic without being too crazy. Yeah, no, I was a big fan of that. Yeah, probably a 7. Might lean towards like a high 6 if I'm being more critical, but because again, the gameplay is like a little bit hard to read, but it is creative too, so it's really hard to say. We'll see what it gets rated later. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Good stuff. Good stuff. Oh my god, I don't really care for this gameplay that much. I still think it's funny how that part looks like frog lights. I don't know. I can only think of that level when I get that ship. Nice. Okay. I did it, yay. Man, truth be told, I wanted to like this level more than I did. So, listen, I love Quazery, however it's pronounced. I mean, big fan of Constellations, and I mean, like, that's the only one I've really beaten, but I've seen enough of their other stuff and have appreciated what they do with their style. I think it's really cool, and I'd still like to play more by them. But this just wasn't it. I mean, okay, I don't dislike the level. This is the first time for this video I can actually give, like, a substantive review. I actually have stuff to say this time, oh my god. How exciting. Okay, I obviously love the minimalist design style of this level. How it uses a lot of pretty default objects, including gameplay assets, to like in the design of the level. Just gives it a very, very unique style. Makes it feel very kind of, it feels like an older level, you know. I don't know, the words aren't coming to my head right now for some reason, but it's just a really cool style, how scrappy it is, and minimalist it is with its object use. I think that's really cool. However, even if the design style of the level is cool, I have slight issues with how it uses those objects sometimes, because this is like the thing with this level. The first part of the level, like, it's very, very green. Like, you know, I look at this thumbnail and I look at the song name and I'm like, and I look at the first few minutes of the level and I'm like, okay, this is a green level. And most of the level is very green, but when you get to a certain point in it, it's just not very green anymore. Like, where did the shades of green go? Now we've got shades of, like, blue and purple and red, and it's like, that feels like it betrays the identity of the level. I know the level isn't inherently a green level, even, like, based on the title, but I just feel like with the impression it sets up, it doesn't follow up on that very well. I think the level is a little conflicted in identity, especially when it uses the pads as decoration, because the pads are very, very, like, multicolored. You know, I think it's still cool to make flowers and stuff out of pads, but it's just not quite as thematically appropriate in this level as it might be if you colored more parts of the level differently. So there's that. What else? Just about the theming. This is less visually focused, I guess. But I don't feel like the level progresses enough for a 5-minute level. There's some really nice piano interludes along the way that give some cool substance to the level, where most of it is a lot of the same motif in the song. It slows down the gameplay sometimes and really lets you soak in a little bit of atmosphere, but it kind of goes back to the simple melody and gameplay structure with the wave just a little too regularly. So it didn't feel like the level was going anywhere particularly. It felt like an XL level without much substance or progression, which is always kind of a bummer, because I mean, like, as much as I love XL levels, I feel like you really have to take it somewhere, and this level just isn't really doing that, if you ask me. And honestly, I didn't even really feel like the level was 5 minutes. It felt like a 3-minute long level to me, even though I know that, and it's just because the level repeats so much. It's kind of like I just disengaged with it, and it was like kind of over before I realized it. Didn't build up enough tension for me. So there's all that, and then the gameplay is just like, it's fine. Some parts are better than others. I really like the spider duel. The spider duel is awesome. That's the kind of thing I just love to see. What else was there? There was, see, this is the issue. Okay, I guess that's probably just the best way to put this into perspective. There's just not enough unique parts. The level loses a lot of its interest in a lot of very similar sections. You've got the long wave corridors that just sync with the song. Like, you don't even have to think about it that much. And there's just a lot of parts that use repeated gameplay patterns. Like, there's the one part with the portals overhead and the blue orbs on the ground that you use to kind of swerve up and then back down onto the ground. But you do the same pattern every single time, and it just kind of gets monotonous. Like, you have a really cool gameplay gimmick, but you're doing the same thing with it over and over again, and it doesn't feel particularly engaging, and that's just kind of disappointing. I mean, you know, I think it's still pretty neat how it's using some ideas regardless, but they just don't feel expanded on enough, and that really is the kicker with this level. The gameplay was my least favorite attribute of it, and it also just feels messy, because as much as I said I love the minimalism, there's some parts where the gameplay just isn't fleshed out enough. Like, there's, you know, there was one orb part near the beginning where I fell up and out of the world for a long period of time, and it's like, I hate when that happens, because, like, you know, if I am gonna be immersed in this atmosphere, falling up for, like, you know, 10 seconds straight, just, it doesn't really get me invested in the atmosphere. Like, it just feels incomplete, you know? The levels, it's so scrapping down to earth, and I still really respect that about it. But I was more disappointed in this level than I thought I would be. I'm torn between a 5 and a 6. I really could go in a pretty large range with this one, because I still appreciate the, like, designs themselves, even if they're not thematically appropriate. So I think I'll lean towards a 6 with this one. It's a possibility it could drop down to a 5 at some point. I'm still I'm still disheartened to do that, because I was looking forward to this one, and I still think it does a lot of neat things, a lot of beautiful line art. I kind of forgot about that. Lots of great aspects to this level, but there's a lot of things holding it back too, which hurt me a little bit. It's okay though. I still think it's a decent level, just not my favorite thing of all time. It's alright. Anyway, carrying on. Lovely. There we go. Insane. I'm just that good, guys. I swear I'm just the GOAT. Please ignore my attempts and time on this. I swear they're not relevant. And my progression. Ignore my progression. Please. Dude, what the hell was I doing? That's funny bad. That was just like, what, how? So, fluked pretty much the entire ship part, and died once at the UFO before it. Died at the ball. I was like, okay, that's funny. It's stupid, but it's funny. And then I died again. And then I died again. And again, and again, and again, and again. I died 7 times at the ball, right? Am I counting that right? Hold on, it might have been 6. No, it's 7. I died 7 times with the ball, and the ball in this level is extremely easy. It is all memory, no execution. Like, so I guess that's not entirely true, because if I manage to die there, then it can't possibly be all memory. Actually, my memory did kind of blow, so maybe that is accurate. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It's funny because the only part of the ball that's hard to execute, I got first try. It was the very end where you do that like one little tight corridor with the spikes on either side. Realistically, I should have died there, but I didn't. And thank God I didn't die at the duel. That would have been embarrassing as well. I mean, it is a hard part, but if I had to do the everything else again, that would have sucked. Oh my God. Okay, I think it's a good level. I mean, I have literally no issues with it. I mean, but I also have like very little praises for it. I think the weird color schemes are funny, especially the green and purple combination. In the UFO, that's just kind of a goofy part. And there's a couple things earlier and later. But the thing about it, and I mean, like, to quote Werewin from his top 50 Insane Demons video, like, this is a dorky level. That was his wording, so I know that sounds kind of weird for a descriptor, but, you know, he said it first. And honestly, yeah, it's so goofy. Like, it's trying so hard to be intimidating, but it's just not really, because of, like, the flashy, not flashy, but the bright colors and the text that's like, just die. Is that what it says? I think it is. It's such a goofy level. I enjoyed playing it, but it is very skill check feeling. Like, it feels like it exists just to be like, haha, I test your UFO and ship skills. And apparently your memory ball skills, even though that part should be free as hell. So that's interesting, I guess. I guess it represents the song okay, but I don't know. I would just give it a 5. I mean, I enjoyed playing it, but it's not at all inspiring or anything. It's just like, you know, haha funny 1.9 level with some silly gameplay. It's like 8.0, but like a little bit less memorable because it doesn't have the click sync that one did. That's kind of just how I think about it. And the visuals are maybe a little overstimulating, but I don't care that much. Yeah, a 5's fine. Right between Eldorado and the End Is Here. I think, you know, End Is Here had a lot more of an emotional impact, but the gameplay in Eldorado is worse than this, so that's a pretty easy reference point. Yeah. It feels good to put another Insane Demon in the books, even if that Insane Demon rating is not at all warranted. Because despite my persistent failing, this is a very easy level for an Insane Demon, at the very least. So yeah, good on me, I guess. I did it. Whoop-de-doo. But that's just some filler, more than anything. Whatever, we take those. Yay. Let's go! Alright, there's one. I guess it doesn't really make a lot of sense to say that out of context. I'm trying to get through a lot of stuff today, and this is one of the hard demons I want to do. I know that's not like super relevant or anything right now, but I did it. Let's go. Okay, I really wanted to get that faster. How many times was that total? 927 plus, like, that was a lot more practice than I really needed, although I still took a while in runs. but that's fine. Yeah, I almost flew. Like, what was my progression on this? 36 to 86. Yeah, I flew to 86 on this, and then died at like the final UFO, and that just kind of hurt because then I had to play for a while longer than I really had hoped to. Doesn't matter. I'm just gonna skip the lore. Let's go into the review. I actually have a lot to say on this one, believe it or not, because usually when I play these hard demons that are like, you know, more gameplay oriented, I don't have much to say. Like, usually it's like the visuals are alright, the gameplay is really good, and that's it. But no, I have more to say about this one, and I think the first thing I really need to note about this is the use of this song from Friday Night Funkin'. I never played Friday Night Funkin'. It always kind of interested me, but at the same time, I'm more of a one-button kind of guy in terms of my music-based games. In that regard, I don't connect with the song necessarily, but I do think it's really interesting, because obviously it's a rhythm game, and it goes back and forth between two voices, and I think that's really significant here, because the level, first of all, just makes great use of sync. Like, this level does sync better than a lot of levels do, because it obviously ties into the music really strongly, but it's not like the music is, like, it's not like a lot of levels where you click to the same pattern over and over again. Like, with it being a rhythm game, the pattern switches constantly. Like, it's usually a similar motif, but it will change up the note structure to really mess with your mind. That's how I at least would imagine it would work in the original game. And this level caches off of that, because every section syncs to the music, but you have to remember the exact pattern that you're going to be playing with in that part, which is just really, really neat. And again, it's one of those levels where it doesn't just sync the click, it syncs the action. Like, everything you're doing, like, fits into the song structure more closely than, say, a level where you just click every, like, beat or something, because, like, you know, there's different input types you have to do in this level. Sometimes it's a wave hold, sometimes it's a dash orb, sometimes it's literally just an orb click. You never know, but you always have to be thinking about how the type of note in the song is going to correlate to the gameplay action you're doing, and I just think that's really cool. It's not always like that. I shouldn't exaggerate, but I mean, it does that enough to be really interesting. So I really respect that, and I like that more than I frankly care much for the gimmick of this level. It's made entirely using square-shaped structures, which is really kind of neat, but it doesn't feel super significant in terms of like the actual gameplay. Like, yeah, the structures are squares, but you still decorated them with spikes and have a lot of items on them. They're not grid-locked, I don't think. If they are, then I guess I just didn't realize that, but I couldn't tell exactly because everything bounces around a little bit. So, I mean, like, it's not fully committing to the bit, and I don't have a problem with that. So I feel like a lot of levels would probably, like, you know, could probably fit into a sort of gameplay structure. Like, even if you filled in the gaps here, it would probably still be about the same. I'm just guessing. So I don't feel like this right angle gimmick is as well executed as it could have been, especially considering some parts are actually skewed and slopey. But I didn't really, that wasn't a bother to me in the actual level experience. If I had a couple of gripes with the level, I think the indicators could have been ditched, but at the same time, they do fit into the aesthetic of the level really nicely, believe it or not. I especially like the, I think it's the ball at the, like, in the second section, how the indicators are built into the ground. That just looks really slick to me, even though it should be a bother. I'm not actually annoyed by that at all. I think it's a pretty neat gimmick. And I like how in the first section, like, the indicators kind of spin around and pulse with the music. It makes, you know, it really brings the music of the levels to life, because, you know, the level's main focus, for me personally at least, is the song representation. I feel like that's what this level's doing more than anything regarding the square gimmick. That's just my interpretation, though. So, I enjoy this level a lot. The other thing I would complain about would be, well, I feel conflicted on, is the coins. Because they totally subvert, like, the music aspect of the level. Like, they typically force you to go off-path, and you don't actually sync anything, especially in the one where you fly through that sync part as the ship. But it's so creative and cool, I really don't mind it. I think the coins are interesting enough to justify branching out from the theme. I feel like you could have found a better level to do gimmicks like this, but I mean, like, I don't care that much. I still enjoyed getting them. They were a really nice balance of difficulty and creativity too. It's challenging, forces you out of your way quite a bit, but like there's no stupidly absurd timings or anything. Everything you can get pretty used to. I like this level a lot. I think it's really fun. And I think the song rep is really, really nice in this. I would give it a very solid 8. Just pretty much for the gameplay. But, I mean, the visual design is still pretty slick, all things considered. A little inconsistent. It uses a lot of, things at the start uses a lot of desaturated colors and stuff. It's a lot more dull and like a really nice sort of trippy way. But then at the end it gets a little bit brighter. It departs from that, but I still think all the sections look good in their own right as well. So yeah, no, I'd give this a very solid 8. I enjoyed my time with it for the most part. Just a couple things I think could have been smoothed out, but like no huge issues. Yeah, that was very fun. Very fun. I've wanted to play that one for a long time too, and I've just been putting it off, so I'm glad to have done it. Yay. So that didn't take as long as I'm making it out to be with that reaction. Surprisingly, that was not that bad. I played this for the first time like several months ago, and I was like, hell no, keep me away from this. But I was like, okay, I need to do this eventually. And I came back, and then I actually played with Music Sync, and it was made a lot easier by that. But anyways, as for the quality of this level, I feel very conflicted. Because let's just get it out of the way. The gameplay in this level, absolutely terrible. It is just like... I talked about how much I loved Right Angle and the way it used Music Sync to structure its gameplay. This is literally the antithesis of that. It is click on the beat or click to the very repetitive motif throughout the song, and that is the extent of it pretty much. But it's also kind of a weird contrast because as, like, I wouldn't say objectively, but as structurally terrible as the gameplay is, you can have like a relative amount of fun with this if you literally just shut your brain off and click to the music and just get lost in the visuals. That's kind of where this level manages to shine just a tad. Because without that going for it, it's not very good. But no, I think the level looks absolutely phenomenal. There's just a lot of really cool visual details, and they all reflect space in some capacity, but they're also a lot more abstract. In a lot of ways. There's so much cool stuff happening here, like the star at the end that turns into a black hole, and you have this cool little mountain range part. That's kind of weirdly out of place, I guess, for the space theme, but it does look really neat. I love a lot of the visual effects in this. I know Kiba had a hand in this level's creation, which is generally a pretty good thing. But no, overall, I really, really do like the way this level looks. And again, if you just get kind of like invested in the music sync and just like start to get into that flow, you can have a weird degree of fun with this, even if the gameplay itself is extremely like bog standard sync with some really janky timings. I was kind of torn on, I don't know, I could really go anywhere, but, well, I was going to say anywhere between 5 and 7. With the amount of annoying deaths I had later in the level here, I'm kind of inclined to lean towards 6 or a 5, I don't know. Again, I can't call it objectively bad gameplay, but it's definitely a style that I am, like, firmly against using, so I don't know. But again, there's dumb fun there if you just, you know, try to vibe with it. So I guess I don't hate this level. I could probably go low B tier for this, and I really wanted to go high B tier because, again, the visuals are gorgeous. It's just, I don't know. Weird conflict of interest there, but whatever. Not too bad all around. I vibe a little bit. So close on the ship. There was like no way I should have survived that, but I did. Wow. I didn't think that was gonna work. Not a bad fluke, I don't think. Where was that from? 57? Less than half, but I'll take it. I can't possibly complain about a 43% fluke. This level was not quite as difficult as I was led to believe. I saw this was a 14 on the GDDL, and I got a little bit scared, because that's like, you know, high-end hard demon. But after playing it for a little bit, I was like, okay, this is kind of light. I mean, like, maybe I shouldn't say light, but it gets really consistent. It's really easy to understand. It's not very finicky. There were a couple parts, and I'll, you know, dive into my criticism of the level here in just a second, but, like, overall, it's just a really interestingly structured level. The gameplay is very smooth, very rhythmic, especially in the cube and robot parts. Like, if you understand how to make the orb timings work to your favor, then it isn't really as bad as it seems. It's just a learning curve. The one issue... Actually, no, two issues I have with this level. First of all, I don't like the invisible portals. The teleport ones, to be exact, because they just kind of come out of nowhere and they really throw you off, and it feels really unfair when you die to those. That was definitely the bigger of my two complaints with this one. Just because, like, sometimes I just felt like I got shot out of nowhere and couldn't really react in time. The other complaint I have is that some of the hitboxes are just a little inconsistent. Especially in the UFO, it felt like I was clipping the edges of platforms when I really didn't seem like I should be. Maybe that's just my mind playing tricks on me, maybe that's not actually an issue with the level, but it did feel like the beginning, especially the UFO, was like a little over precise, just to like an artificial degree. Because it was just, it was a lot more difficult to gauge what was and wasn't physical in that, if that makes sense. But it wasn't like a huge issue, and again, it could totally just be my mind playing tricks on me. But the other thing I would just say about this level, it's still relatively simplistic. I do like the visual design of it, but it's very repetitive. And it's really not doing a whole lot other than just looking pretty smooth. I do think the gameplay is the strongest point of this level. My favorite part is actually probably the final ship. I just love the way that feels, kind of swerve up and down. It's not a bombastic ending, but it does feel good to play. But I don't know, I don't have a ton to really say. It's just a good level. I'd probably go like low 7. Interestingly enough, this is my first KiwiPenguin level, I'm pretty sure. I might have forgotten one or two, but I don't think I did. But I'm just familiar with the name because they have a lot of levels in the One Top 50s. So this one just kind of came to mind. Actually, there's not as many as I thought there were. Anyways, I'm kind of rambling. That's not quite as relevant to the point of this level exactly. This level's good. It's just, you know, it's relatively simplistic, but still very fun, all things considered. Yeah, like I said, low 7 just for simplicity, but I do like it quite a bit. So yeah, that's cool. Pillars. Okay, I need to practice this again. Nice! I'm just that good. Okay, I gotta know, that was... How many attempts in normal mode? Oh, I was still over 100. Dude. That was, like, not an incredible performance or anything, but, like, I progressed so fast. Like, I had gotten that 81% run within, like, the first 5 minutes, I feel like. Maybe 10 minutes. And it took me a while to get the 86 and 100 from there, but... Gosh, I did, like, really, really practice this before I started going for runs, so that's why. But, I think I can say that Robot is probably one of my strong suits after that one. Okay, I'm gonna actually take a little bit of time to review this one. I really like this level. I have had my eye on this level since day one of it getting rated. I saw a new batch of demon raids, and I saw the thumbnail for this level, and I was like, this looks absolutely incredible. I love the visual style of this, and I played it in practice mode at that time. I love the gameplay, but I was always just so intimidated by this. Because, first of all, it's a 19 on the GDDL, which is just terrifying in and of itself. Because that's like high-end insane demon. Like, that's rated higher than BTD2. So I was like, uh-oh. But, much to my surprise, upon practicing this more recently, it's not that bad. You really have to take the time to learn how the fist mechanic works, because basically I'm sure you could understand by seeing it, but the way this mechanic works is there's a spider pad inside of the fist that pushes you down when it jabs with the music, and that really forces you to think really carefully about the music itself. And I always love when levels force you to memorize the rhythmic pattern of a song, because that's what serves the gameplay. That's always just a really cool thing to me. And of course I'm familiar with this song because Painting with Sounds is the song from Pluto, which is one of my favorite levels in the entire game. Another one of the reasons this level stood out to me so much and I wanted to play it as badly as I did. But no, I especially love this ending part because the way it forces you to really think about the music is just so unique and it's so fun. I had a blast with that part in particular, but the rest of the level is just really satisfying because it's so eerie and atmospheric, and the simplicity of the gameplay serves that perfectly because it's just robot gameplay with some orb stuff thrown in there. But I do like how the orb mechanics get more complex as the level progresses, as the song starts to fill in that empty space, because it started just that very shrill, eerie noise, but then it grows into something with more background layers, and the level represents that perfectly, especially with this rainstorm aesthetic that takes place in this part, as well as the spiral background and like the flowers, and like there's just so much to this part that gives it a lot of depth, and it makes the level feel truly alive by complementing the music really nicely. And the other thing, like, I don't know, there's just a lot of really cool decorative touches. At the very start, one of my favorite parts of this level is the constellations that fill in frame by frame. That's just an awesome visual design style effect to me. The second part of the level doesn't really have as much of note, but I do like how much like darker and hard to make out the platforms are, because it really, you know, adds to the eerie nature of the level, obscuring your vision and such. But then it opens up in this final part, and I love how, first of all, I just love how a lot of these designs look. I really like there's none in the thumbnail, unfortunately, but there's these string lights, or like strands of something throughout the level that look really cool because they just are sort of out of place. But there's also like weird question marks hanging from a couple of those. Like, it's so bizarre and unbelievable, but it just kind of works in this sort of environment. But I also love the contrast of the yellow. Again, none of that's visible in this thumbnail, which is a real shame, but like purple yellow color schemes always have like really stood out to me, and this level's no exception, because I love how every kind of splash of yellow is represented by light in some capacity. So it's kind of like you've got this beacon of light in this sort of dark dimension, I guess, by hashtag the purgatory or whatever. Stupid joke aside. So yeah, no, I just love how the yellow contrasts that. I mean, like, maybe, I don't know. The thing is, the level is very straightforward, and I feel like I wouldn't typically read in between the lines so much on a level of this nature, especially because it doesn't really seem like there's a profound, like, narrative to it. It's just a really cool design style, which is why it's weird this one stands out to me the way it does. So I'll be the first to admit this is the kind of thing that would not typically be, like, of extraordinary note for me. But I just really enjoyed this one, and maybe I'm also just a little bit biased because, like I said, I've had my eye on this level since, like, when did this come out? It came out in June. I don't know when it got rated, but whenever it got rated was when I first laid eyes on this, and I was immediately hooked. And I honestly would have done it sooner if I had known I was going to get that consistent, because again, almost just barely over 100 normal mode attempts is wild to me. I really expected that to take a lot longer than it did for a high-end insane. Oh, but there we go. I am very happy to have that one out of the way. These 3 levels all in a row were rough. These are all so input dense, so this level was totally killing my hand by the end. So I'm glad I got it when I did. Otherwise, I could have easily sunk like 2 more hours into this. That was just shockingly fast. But despite being like extremely underground, I'm just thrilled to have played this, to have stumbled across this. It is an absolute 9 for me. I feel very confident. I think if it expanded a little bit more, we could have seen maybe a 10, but I would just go with a high 9 as is, which is still so weird because, again, not like a crazy narrative. Like, it's honestly not even that much more complex than some of the other like hard demons I've played this month, or the last couple of months. But, you know, I'm fine with that. That was a great time. Happy to put another insane in the books. guy win? Oh yeah. This level's so fun. Actually, okay, I'm only like kind of halfway serious. Okay, yeah, this level's gameplay is like really fun, even though the transitions kind of blow. It's just like a good 1.9 GDPS level? Question mark? Oh no, this is literally a 1.9 level. Oh lord. Sure. Okay. I see. That was fun. I like this level quite a bit. I know it's really rough. The transitions are not great. But I just had a good time with this. You know, it has a lot of those 1.9 tropes that are just really, really enjoyable. But all I have to say on it, I mean, just a lot of good gameplay stuff. It's, you know, 1.9 level. It's hard to talk a lot about it, but it was fun. Also, I love the song, so I'm totally down. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yay! This level's peak. That's a solid 8 right there. So fun. Beautiful visuals. Great song rep. That was really, 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 really cool. I like that one. And I like how it's consistently green. It doesn't really stray away from the theme it sets up, but it still expands on it in a really nice way. I think it'd have been cool if it played with more green gameplay assets. Like, I feel like a lot of... I wasn't paying enough attention, but I feel like you could have done a really cool thing, like, where you use, like, only green portals, only green orbs, you get dash orbs. You can work with some really cool stuff there, but it's really not, like, a huge deal. That's just, like, when levels do color themes, that's what I like to see. And even everything is, like, still green tinted, so it doesn't feel out of place. Like, you can see the yellow portal has, like, a little bit of green mixed into it. So, yeah, no, this is a good level. I like this one a lot. Very fun. Oh, that's not very good. Oh, I just got an arm cramp. Ow. Ow, ow, ow. I got way too into that for a second. I think I'm screwed, but I'll give it a shot. Yeah, no. I don't think I got any of them that time. Maybe the ghost one, but... What?! There's no way! How did I do that?! I did not! I have to watch that back. I actually did that. Good lord, how?! That was so scuffed! What?! Are we for real?! I can't believe I just did that. Oh my lord. Wow. That was scuffed. I kind of wanted to get a perfect run on this level, so I actually am, like, vaguely disappointed. Vaguely? Slightly. I don't know. I'm trying to be fancy with my wording. It doesn't matter. Okay. Okay. God, there's actually something just so satisfying about having this level done now. Weirdly enough, God, it feels so odd to admit I actually kind of enjoyed this. When I played this level for the first time as a weekly, I was like, hell no. I came back to it months later. Again, I was like, hell no. And then I came back to it this time and I was like, whatever I do, I'm not stopping with this. And when I locked in, I actually had a really good time with this. Maybe it's because I'm getting better at two-player mode stuff. I don't know if the last time I touched this was before or after the Chance Gauntlet. If it was before, then that might play a part in it. But no, this one always terrified me because it had this weird gimmicky, rhythm game mechanic. And I was just like, I don't know about that one, man. Like, it's just, that's really not my thing most of the time. So I kind of figured this level was going to suck. I have discredited this level too much. Do I love it? No, because I'm going to talk about the visuals here in a minute. But I will say that once you get into the rhythm aspect of it, start to find the groove with the music, it's actually a really, really good time. I enjoyed playing the two-player parts probably more than the base gameplay. Maybe it's because it's unique, and I still think the base gameplay is the better part of this level, but it's not. It's nice to branch out a little bit. That's a very, very nice thing about this level. And the great song rep, it's fun. That said, let's talk about the visuals. So, I'm well aware of the history behind this level, the legacy of Muse Rush, so to speak. So, I'm not into the whole anime thing. I've never been into the whole anime thing. I never probably will be into the whole anime thing. There are some aspects of the visuals I do like. I think there's non-anime set. Well, I wouldn't say that, but the parts that like aren't characters actively, or those are like pretty good looking. They're very polished, considering just in the quality level. But it's not even like it's not even that I don't like anime, but with the characters, you can tell. You can tell so much effort went into the... How do I want to word this? The realistic physics. Let's go with that wording, because, like, if you look at the characters' designs, you can see very clearly that most of the detail does not exist. I don't know. I'm trying to phrase this in a way that's like discreet enough, but I just can't really do that. I'm just saying certain parts of the characters' bodies are a little less detailed than others in a pretty ugly looking way. I'll leave it at that. I don't know, this is a very, very incoherent review, but you know, I don't want to be super on the nose with it necessarily. So, yeah. So I enjoyed the gameplay of this more than I thought I would. Didn't care much for the visuals. Some parts actually do look pretty good, but there's other parts that just sort of, you know, had misplaced priorities. And I guess I can just leave it at that. Try to make another. What was the last level they did? Oh, okay. Muse Rush was literally the last Bugmaster level. Not that it matters. I haven't played any other levels by this game. Okay, whatever. Yeah, all around, I enjoyed this level. I think it's a lot better than I'm giving it credit for. I have no idea what to rate it. It's totally a B tier, but if you want to go between a 6 or a 7, that's totally, like, up in the air. I'll figure it out at some point. I'll lean towards a 7 right now, I guess. But, you know, obviously I have my gripes about the motivation behind this level, I guess. I know it's as silly as it sounds. Not terrible, though. I'm fine with it. Okay, I actually kind of forgot that was a demon. This is really, really easy. This is like 7-star gameplay, bro. Don't even. It's a good level. I like it. Even if it is a little bit generic in terms of the design, because it uses pixels. But I like the way it, you know, changes up your direction, and it just flows really nicely. But I don't have a ton to say on it. I could probably go like low 7 for this. Like, again, fun gameplay. It's just not the most awe-inspiring in terms of, you know, visual style or quality. It's alright, though. Not bad all around. And a pretty good choice for weekly. There we go! It was bound to happen. I was just waiting. I didn't know when, but I knew it would. It was only a matter of time till I got those last 2 metal shards, and there they are. Metal Master. Let's go. Sweet. And I've got the bonus unlocks. I got the boom. It's cool. Alright, yay. That's a pretty awesome development right there. Love that. Yeah, good level though. Very fun. There we go. Okay. I think I'm good. This is heat. Oh my god, the art in this is just so good. The vibes are on point. Yeah, that's an easy 9. That's not even a question. That's really sick. And for a 7-star, it's so good. See, sometimes I think to myself, man, maybe I just discount levels of lower difficulty. Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I'm just biased against non-demons. And then I play a level like this, and then I remember, no, I'm totally in the right. People are just not making peak in their non-demon levels. This is excellent. Very easy 9. The art is just absolutely phenomenal. I love it. It's beautiful. It has this really trippy atmosphere. Like, all of it is so unnerving, but, like, it just works so well. And the song rep, like, yeah, this is an excellent, excellent level. It's mostly just for the artistic direction, but like there's totally a vibe here that I am absolutely on board with. That is a banger, and I should not expect nothing less from Smear, but man, that is so good. Oh, it's a collab with Pro 202. Sweet. Yeah, very, very fun, very fun. Okay. Took a minute, but that was really pretty. I really wish the gameplay were a bit better in the end of a level. Because as is, it doesn't play the greatest. It's just kind of click at the orbs. It literally tells you just click at the orbs, which, I mean, works, but it's not the most compelling gameplay of all time. But the intro to this level, it's sync-based, but the level's just so pretty. I mean, I'm okay with that. Purgatory is a song that, you know, works well with click sync because it just gives so much power to every input. So, you know what? Fine by me. Would have gone 8 if the ending played a little bit better. As is, 7 is completely fine. I would say that's a pretty valid score for this one. I really do enjoy the atmosphere of it. And the artwork, the artwork. It's not as good as WAHALLA, obviously. But, you know, it's not too far off. Beautiful line art, minimalist, yet still a little bit discordant and messy. You know, I'm down with that. This is a good level, fine by me. Yeah, solid 7. Sweet. That was really, 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 really easy. I just did it. I needed to do a demon. So I literally looked up what are the easiest demons on the GDDL. And this was the first, or the easiest one that looked like appealing to me. Because the thumbnail's kind of cool. The level itself is not actually that cool though. It's just fine. I don't dislike it, but the visual design is pretty minimalist, kind of funky looking. The gameplay is just click at the indicators and it's very repetitive at that. I don't dislike it. I see what it's trying to be. I don't have a problem with it. There's no flaws here. It's just not, like, you know, it's just not a super appealing level. Nor is it really a demon, but I was looking for a free demon to do right now because I just do not have the time to pour into something more substantial because it is late and I need to sleep. So, yeah, glad to have played that. That was cool. I like it. But I just said it was free. I'd give it a 5. It's a very solid C tier level. It's okay. Again, I knew what I was getting into. But yeah, not too bad all around. Yay! Weird ending, yeah. Okay. I guess it's kind of neat end screen, but don't make me review this. I'm gonna be so negative. This goes on for a while. It's a good song actually. I kind of vibe with it. But that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about every design choice this level makes, and all of them are terrible. Okay, I don't know. I'm like in this weird negative mood right now, where I just want to hate on this level. I can give it credit in some. Here's like, I think I said this about Boundless Dreams. I'm gonna say it again because it applies here. Lots of beautiful set pieces in this level. I think some of the Gothic architecture and stuff looks really cool. I like those design choices, or those art pieces in particular, but the way they're arranged, there's so much visual inconsistency in this level, and it makes me so mad. Not mad, I can't say it makes me mad, but like, you've got some like set pieces that are nice and detailed and beautiful, and they're layered on top of like pixel blocks and weird inconsistent 3D perspectives and all these really, really weird visual choices that just have so much visual contrast, and really, really rubbing me the wrong way. The level just has way too much going on. Like, you can tell it's trying to be this beautiful, realistic looking masterpiece, but it just ends up trying to do way too much and succeeding at none of it. Just because of how much everything works against itself. That's just an issue I have with Boundless Dreams as well, and I don't like chalking up an issue to an entire creator, it's like legacy or whatever. But like, both of these levels make the same mistake, and it really bothers me. Anyway, so that's one complaint out of the way. The other being that, I mean, it's the gameplay. I have to talk about the gameplay, because I didn't really feel this way about Boundless Dream because it was mostly sight readable. It was, it was an insane level. I was able to knock it out relatively quickly. The random gauntlet definitely influenced how readable the gameplay was. This is my first, experience with a Gamer Night level where the gameplay is, strongly tied to the end of the level because it's consistent, it does the same thing every time, yada yada yada. You get how it works. That's how Jump Dash typically is. And I can say this is one of those levels where, pretty much every single gameplay design flaw you can make, it does make. And then some. I could go on about how obscured the gameplay is by the visuals, or the jerky camera movements that are nauseating, or the random speed changes. I mean, there's just so many things this level does that a level just should never do. So many tropes in modern level design that just don't work. It's it's unreadable, it's unbalanced, it's awkward, it's buggy, it's hard to see. It's just a laundry list of issues, man. So, yeah, I was hoping this one would pull a Muse Rush on me and be surprisingly decent, because Muse Rush I also expected to go into and hate, and I didn't, and I was hoping I might have been corrected on this little disparity. I was not. This was not my favorite level ever. That's for sure. I'll give it a little bit of credit where it's due. Good song rep, and like I said, beautiful set pieces that just don't work together. They just contrast, and it's irritating and bothersome. And I don't like it. I'd give it a 3. I give it a high 3. I couldn't go 2. It's not that bad. Like I said, some credit, and I almost want to go 4. And I was gonna go 4, but then I had some really cheap death at the end, and that kind of drove me up the wall enough to the point where I'm like, just give it a 3. I'm sorry. I'm being very negative, and I apologize for that, but I just don't like this level. Sorry. I tried.
What? What'd I do? Did I get that right? Okay.
Whoa. Easy, light work. Thank you very much. That was fun. Yay. Okay, I wasn't actually sure that I got the third coin. I kind of figured I had to have. Okay, that was fun. Is this considered like a classic or something? It's not a 2.0 level or anything, but I know some people like this level a lot. And I can see why. It's a really interestingly designed level. You know, it uses the virus theme, which is not riveting. I mean, pretty generic, all things considered. But I think it is still a pretty I think it's a pretty enjoyable level. The virus elements don't really integrate themselves in a way that's obnoxious. It's just you know, a little bit I don't know. It's gimmicky and stuff, but I think it's pretty neat. The staggered effects do work because they sync with the music really nicely, and I think the song rep overall is pretty nicely done. A lot of the visual elements are just great. I love the stickman, and I love... Like, that's a really cool idea, the way the stickman runs along the track. And there's just a lot of other cool little things. And it feels oddly unnerving in a sort of liminal way, but not really. I don't know, these sort of, like, computer characters with the smiley faces, just... something strikes me as strange about them, even though they're just cartoony little dudes. I like this level a lot. Again, like, it's a green and black level based on computers. There's not much you can do with that, like, to beyond a certain point. But this level works pretty well. Fun. Okay, there we go. Got it, yeah. Ooh. Sure. Yeah, this level didn't quite live up to my expectations. I don't know why. I mean, the reason I was interested in this level is because it was using Xenogenesis, and I was like, huh, that'd be interesting to see the demon. It just ended up being more the click sync, and it's like, yeah, whatever. It's got its moments. I think the effects are cool, but the gameplay is really just the same click pattern over and over and over again, and it's kind of draining. Yeah, so I kind of lost interest in this one, and that ship timing, ugh. That mini ship part really got on my nerves because it's so hard to react to when you're supposed to drop to get out of that trap. Was a little bit irritating. I was gonna go 6 originally, but I'm like, I'm tired. At this point, I'm kind of like, I'm gonna go 5. I mean, I was kind of bored with it from start to finish. Like, again, the effects are cool, but they just don't have much supporting them because the gameplay is kind of mid. I don't hate it. It's a decent level. It's kind of neat, but I was just kind of bored. So, whatever. It's fine. Does the job. No. Plus, it's actually not a bad fluke. It's a short level though, so I mean, yeah, whatever. From 50. Yeah, not bad. This is a fun one. I like the visual design of it a lot. The gameplay's pretty satisfying. I think the indicators are a little bit unnecessary. They just feel a little overdone, a little out of place. Kind of, I wouldn't say overstimulating. That's a bit of a stretch, but they just didn't feel entirely necessary to me. I definitely would have preferred without the indicators, except for maybe the UFO. It's fine though. Otherwise, I enjoy this level a lot. I think it's got a really nice visual style. I like how it's got these pretty pastel blues and hints of green in it. It makes it feel very tranquil. And also uses Wavelight, which is an underrated kreno song. It's probably one of the least popular kreno songs. I'm curious. I kind of want to check out on YouTube what the least listened to kreno song is. I would wager this one's probably among them. I could be wrong though. Maybe I'm wrong. It's definitely not used in a lot of levels, although it's definitely not super low on the popularity list. It's in the bottom half. It's 610,000 views on YouTube. Okay. The more recent stuff definitely has less. I like this level a lot though. It's really pretty. Uses a good song. I'd go low 7 for it probably. Actually, no. I think I'll go a high 6 because I think the level just felt a little bit too short to really grab me. I think it's a beautiful level still. I like the visuals a lot, but I think the level needed more substance to really stand on its own. And that's just kind of the downfall of it. Although it's still a great level, I think. I had a fun time with it. But I think it just could have been maybe a little bit more substantive. But hey, it's fun. Yeah, I'd go high 6 for that. Fair enough. Cool. I like this level. This is actually really cool. I love the visual design. Very minimalist, but it has like a really cool, like laid back vibe to it. Like you're trying to get somewhere, you know? Like in transit. I'm not mixing up transit and like, hold on, I just want to Google this definition. I think that means like delivery, right? I should know this, but yeah, the act of passing across or through a place and yeah, it's like delivery basically. That's how it feels. It basically feels like you're kind of like getting from one place to the next despite difficult challenges. Like I know that sounds kind of weird, but I think my favorite part of this level, weirdly enough, is the rain. The rain makes it feel a little more treacherous. I feel like you're working a little bit harder to get where you're going. It's just kind of a downtrodden mood, but you just kind of have to push through that, even though the song's not particularly uplifting or anything. I think that works really well. I just love the natural environments, but the minimalism is also what really sells this level. Just a gorgeous visual style. It doesn't do a ton, but it looks really, really clean. And I just think that's pretty awesome. Kreno does a lot of levels like that with pretty solid visuals. I don't know if did Kreno do that one? Yeah, Frost B8. I thought so. Yeah, very simple, smooth designs a lot of the time from Kreno, and this is definitely no exception. I just love the way that this level functions and looks and kind of themes itself. The gameplay can be a little bit repetitive sometimes. I don't mind it really. Like, it's not an excellent design decision, but I think it works perfectly fine in this context. I just had some simple fun with it. Anything else? I don't think there is. Yeah, no, I think it's just a really fun level. Everything works together really nicely. I think the gameplay could have been more interesting, but it also does play with some interesting mechanics. I especially like how there's one random fake-out portal just along the way. That seems kind of weird, but it works. And some other really cool song rip things and such. I go a low 8 for this level. It's borderline 7, but I think if it didn't have the rain, it'd probably be a 7. But with it, I think it really sells the atmosphere of this level, however minimalist that may be. But I enjoyed this overall. Fun times. Good stuff by Kreno. Oh yeah. Pretty cool. That was really, really light. Yeah, I didn't struggle with that too much. So this is that one level. This is that one level I always forget exists, and I tell myself I'm going to play this level, but then it proceeds to leave my mind a few minutes after. I think I avoided this level like the plague for like about a year or two because I thought it was going to be in the Gem Gauntlet, and I guess when the Gem Gauntlet came out, it just didn't even cross my mind that this wasn't there, which is crazy. I just kind of assumed it was an obligatory pick. I don't have a problem with it not being there, considering there's a bunch of Bly levels and Gauntlets now, so we really don't need a ton more. But this is one I always really expected to be there, and now it is. Or no, it's not. What am I talking about? It never happened. My brain is misfiring. It never happened, so I was like, I might as well play this. I was just scrolling through Epic Easy Demons looking for something to play, and that was the one that came to mind, or the first one that caught my eye, and I was like, well, I might as well, because it's been sitting here forever, and I told myself I would do it, and it's okay. The gameplay, kind of lackluster. The visuals are gorgeous. I love the crystalline designs and stuff. So that was something that caught my attention. I just thought, I love these beautiful crystalline formations with the pretty colors and neat effects in the background and stuff. And it uses Sky and Soul, which is a great song. I love Sky and Soul. I prefer the end of it more than anything else, but it wouldn't really fit the level super well. If anything, I just kind of wish this level were longer so it had more substance, because it does feel very, very short. Because it is very, very short. I don't have a huge problem with it, though. I go high 6. I wanted to go 7, but with the gameplay being kind of mid, it's like, you know, the visuals are good, but they don't save it that much. So I think a high 6 is fair. I'd probably put it somewhere on even fall, probably lower, but in that range. Yeah, not too bad. Prism Peak, cool. okay, if you say so. Alright. Whoa. Yay. Cool, fun. Not fun. I'm lying. No, for real. Okay, this level is like fine. I remember playing this for the first time and being like, ew, I hate this. And I didn't finish it in that session. I was honestly a little bit in a rush. I kind of just felt lazy at the time. I knew I had to get around to this at some point, and here we are now. Like, it's just okay. I mean, for a level so closely related to its song, this level just doesn't really feel like it represents the music very well. The syncing, or the pulses feel out of sync, the gameplay feels out of sync. It doesn't feel very tied to the Tetris theme. Like, it doesn't look like a Tetris level, and I'm sure you could have done that in 1.9. I don't really doubt that it would have been a possibility to more accurately represent Tetris in the visuals. It's just kind of a generic looking 1.9 style level with, you know, again, the pulsing is cool, but it just doesn't sync with the music at all. And that's really what this level is built on. It just doesn't work very well with that. And it's also needlessly long. I mean, for a level that repeats the same thing over and over and over again in its gameplay, like, it did not need to be 3 minutes. It just gets boring, and doing it all over again sucks. It's just not very enjoyable, in my opinion, and it's just kind of mid. I'd give it like a 5. The visuals are still clean for what it's worth. It's just that I don't find them particularly thrilling, is all. But not too bad all around. Just kind of a mid-level. Oh, I had to do one more, really? I thought I had. Oh well, that's fine. Dude, this is gonna be so boring. Okay. There we go. Not too hard. I flicked that pretty decently, I think. But alright. I don't know about that. I don't know. The thing is, the level looks really nice. I think the visuals are pretty sick. I love the effects. And I love the way it kind of messes with the player icon, the way it kind of slings the cube all over the place. Just like, it makes a really clever use of structuring to frame the gameplay in an interesting way. Does a lot of cool things with the icons. I especially love like these synchronized duels. Those are cool. But the level also has a few issues. For one, for a level called Jump Grinder, a lot of the level is actually not jumping. Most of it is clicking orbs or kind of holding through corridors and stuff. It doesn't feel like... I feel like I'm clicking orbs more than I'm jumping off the ground, which isn't really a great trait for a level called Jump Grinder to have. I feel like something more spammy and appropriate would make more sense for that, but that's one thing about it that I'm just like, I don't know. That's not super fitting to the level title, and obviously titles are a little bit superfluous, so it's not a huge deal, but I just feel like I'd connect with this level more if it had a more appropriate title. And also, the gameplay is just not very fun. I mean, it can be. It has its moments where the patterns are really satisfying and cool, but a lot of it is clicking to the beat in repetitive patterns, and I do like repetition in level gameplay, but like when your level starts with like 8 bars of just clicking on the beat, then you lose me a little bit. Still some fun mechanics here, but it's just kind of spammy and messy and incoherent gameplay wise. I'm just not a big fan of that. Again, I still like the visuals. I could probably go with like a low 6. I'd say would be fair, maybe a high 5. I think a low 6 is probably more appropriate because I did kind of vibe with it, but it does have some boring parts that cause a little bit of disconnection for me. Still, the visuals do carry it. It looks really, really nice. AudioVisual is just a really good visual creator. So yeah, that's decent. Not too bad all around, but it's not my favorite thing either. So yeah, it's alright. It's hard to see here. Okay. Okay, there we go. Not bad. Okay. I like this level in some ways. In other ways, I don't like it as much. Overall, I think it's pretty solid. But let's just kind of break it down a little bit, because there actually is a lot to chew on here. Luckily, I wasn't sure if there would be, but there is, which is always a good thing to see. So visually, okay, so I've played one Seokso level in the past. Not including Us at all. That's a collab. I've played Homecoming, and this level was interesting because, like, the visuals were gorgeous, but the level didn't really. I don't know. It looked gorgeous, but it didn't really play too well. And I feel somewhat similarly about Behold, but at the same time, I think it does a little bit better. I think the gameplay is just a lot more clear. It has a lot more visual clarity, and you know that. But at the same time, it does feel a little bog standard. You've got a lot of indicators. You've got a lot of basic click patterns, straight flying corridors. You get the gist. So it's not the most incredible gameplay of all time, which does hurt it a little bit. But it just feels like a more complete level to me. It's a little bit longer. It feels like the level's got a more well executed theme, I guess you could say. Overall, I think it's just a lot more fun to experience, even if the gameplay isn't quite as strong. That said, the gameplay does hold it back a little bit. Like I said, very generic stuff. Sometimes a little bit blind, not in a way that sucks, but just in a way that's like doesn't feel good to die to. Like if you run through this in practice, you can pretty easily figure out those blind transitions because once you know them, they're decently telegraphed. Like the wave, for example. There's a wave, the drop, that you have to like go up right out of, and if you didn't practice that, it'd be like extremely blind and feel unfair. But if you practice it a couple times, like it's not that bad. There's a lot of things like that in this level. That really just demand that you practice them a little bit, but they don't feel blind. Like blindness is just annoying once you've practiced the level over and over and over again, and you still die to the same things over and over again. That's when it sucks. This is not one of those cases. This level's actually really good. So, where would I put this? I kind of wanted to give it an 8, and I still feel like I kind of want to lean there a little bit, but at the same time, the gameplay being lackluster makes me lean a little more for a 7. Because as gorgeous as the level is, it's also not like a super unique style. Like I could think of other levels that look relatively similar to this. Seokso still has a pretty distinct style, but I don't think it's quite enough to really set itself apart from other levels that are in that moderately realistic style. So I think a high 7. I don't know where I'd put it exactly in the 7 out of 10s, but I'd probably put it somewhere near the very top of the B tier. I think it could have been a little bit better, but it's not bad all around. Overall, I had a decent time with this one. It's another one I'm surprised I've never played. At the same time, it never appealed to me really, but I saw it on this list, and then I realized that I like this song. This is a good song. Even the weaker half of the song, I still prefer the part in Space-Time Continuum to this, but yeah, it's alright. Overall, pretty good level. Fun.
Gold and diamond, jewels be
Hell yeah! Yes! Oh! Dude! Oh my god! This one's so brutal. Oh, that feels good right there. Okay, I need to know attempts. Probably over 1,000. No, it's not over 1,000. That's crazy. Really? 981. Wow. I'll take it. Only 150 in normal. I'm surprised. That was a very, very learny level. Like, super learny. But at the same time, it makes sense because it's learny, but it's only learny for like a couple of parts, I guess. And that's the 2 drops in the song. I'm kind of waffling. Let's just talk about the level itself. There's like, I feel a little conflicted on this one. I know I feel conflicted on most levels nowadays. Very rarely am I just able to just praise a level or absolutely bash a level so far this year, weirdly enough. So I have some conflicting opinions on this one. So the positives. This level reminds me of Alcatraz, the creator. Particularly levels like Rainbow Force Z and Hypnotic Travel. Those are the 2 that come to mind for me. Rainbow Force Z is really just mostly because of the rainbow designs and stuff. Very kind of trippy and psychedelic looking, but in a really pretty pastel way where the colors just blend together beautifully. It looks absolutely gorgeous, but it represents Hypnotic Travel as well through the gorgeous landscapes. It has these intricate designs with all the particles floating all over the place. Like, it's a bit messy, but in a really gorgeous way that I'm pretty big fan of. I just love the background designs in some areas of this level. Like, they feel a little raw sometimes, though. Like, if you look at some of these elements, like these trees, they're just made of the flower object. But, like, they still look pretty. And you've got the default AW 2.0 rainbow blocks. Or not blocks, they're not blocks, but, like, the rainbow objects. Just a lot of little things like that. You got the clouds, you've got all these like different default items, but they just are blended together and stitched together in such a gorgeous way that just feels really natural and beautiful. And I love that a lot about this level. The visuals are definitely its strongest suit. And I have to give credit to the atmosphere as well. I mean, I love The Calling. It's a great song. Obviously, Verity is kind of like the OG level to use this song, and I think it's the better level to use this song, because it feels more in touch with the visuals of the level. Like, it has a lot more grandeur to it in the more climactic parts of the song, and the more downtrodden parts feel a lot more appropriate there as well, because it puts emphasis on, sort of, I don't know, it just feels like a more realistic location. I'm blinking, kind of. It's been a while since I've played the level. Anyways, it doesn't matter, because I'm reviewing this level, not Verity. I reviewed Verity months ago. This level does some similar things. A lot of the more downtrodden parts of the song are reflected in the level through slower gameplay and more beautiful, like, nighttime visuals. I especially love the part, like, between 2 drops, where it's like the lyric "Give me a sign," chasing the mark, and the way that transitions, like, it transitions through like this beautiful tree design kind of between 2 parts. It feels like a very natural progression in this lush landscape, forest sort of deal. That works really well, and it has other little tiny details that work really nicely. There's one part where the line "Chasing the Storm" plays, and in the background you can see lightning striking, but it's, you know, it's quiet, it's in the background, it is, you know, it's not here tormenting you in the moment, it's far away and you're chasing it. It does a lot of little things like that, and it's just really, really nice. Just great song representation in a lot of parts, and even when it's not really representing the song perfectly, I still think it just feels very uplifting and motivational and beautiful in that sense.
lots of great things with the visuals and atmosphere in this level. Let's talk about the gameplay. It's not good. But it's not good in a way that I can kind of appreciate. Like, this is one of those levels where it pretty much screws everything up. It's got moving blocks everywhere. It's got buggy mechanics. It's impossible to see where you're going a lot of the time. It's frustrating. Like, don't get it twisted. This level has a lot of things that I would call flaws. But it's one of those levels that, it's awkward, it's weird, but like once you learn to play around it, it feels really satisfying. Great flow to this level. It feels super fluid. It has some moments where it slows you down before throwing you right back into the action, which is just a really powerful thing. A lot of really, really cool ideas throughout this level in regards to the gameplay. It's not all creative. There's some pretty simple straight fly corridors and click patterns. I will never forgive that first straight fly corridor before the drop. That part with the rotating pillars drove me insane. But I don't know. The quality of the gameplay varies. It does have its moments. And even when it doesn't really have its moments, you can get into that flow. Even if it is really, really screwed up in some capacity. So where would I rate this? I want to rate it high, but it did have a couple of gameplay things that just really annoyed me. Like, deaths that just felt unfair. There's literally one part at like 60% where you can just die in the transition. That's not good. I don't even know what manipulates it, but you can just die, which sucks. So for that reason, I'll probably go with a 6. I really wanted to go with like a 7 or even an 8, because it's a gorgeous level. The gameplay draws it back a lot. And honestly, it's kind of lucky it's not receiving a 5. I considered a 5 for a long time, but I just got so engrossed in the environment this level was portraying, and I was able to find some appreciation for it. Yeah. I also have to enjoy it for a while because, God, this level's so hard. I'm still shocked it's on only 981 attempts. Like, that's still close to 1,000, but like, this felt really, really hard. So I'm glad it didn't take me terribly long. Just 2 sessions, and the first one was relatively short, so not too bad. Prismatic Domain. That was interesting. But cool.
See, in any other level, that would have been fine, because that's where the flat ground is, but this level layers everything back by 2, and it is awful to land on anything. That is such a horribly, horribly unconventional and just awfully designed part. I really don't hate this level as much as I used to, but like, that part is absolutely the exception to that, because it just plays like trash. It is so terrible. Any other level, you would land on the flat part of the ground displayed in the texture. But instead you land one block above that, because that's the center of the 3D. I just don't get it, man. I can just go on and on.
Yay. Okay, I think I got my range in there. So good for me. Fine. Yay. Like, okay, I played this level for the first time, like, however many months ago, I forgot when, and I was like, God, I hate this. I don't remember what it was exactly. I'm guessing it's the part I still hate. We'll cover in due time. But I just played it for a little bit, and I got really frustrated, so I kind of gave up on it at the time, but I was like, well, I have to come back to it eventually, and it's in a bunch of lists, including the one I'm going through right now, so I mean, like, why not? Might as well. And I'm glad I got it out of the way, because it's considered a classic, I do believe. You know, old, pretty fancy 2.2 or 2.0 level. So yeah, that's kind of neat. And yeah, it does a lot of cool things. It has its moments for sure. I kind of like the jungle part earlier in the level there. The flying parts are pretty okay on average. Not a lot of bad things in this level. Some things are just minor irritations, but none of those minor irritations even compare to the stupid robot part. This robot part's terrible, man. It's absolutely awful because it completely betrays a common thing you'll learn in Geometry Dash. When 1.9 dropped, RobTop introduced the 3D textures to give 3D effects to blocks. Cool, right? But it would have just been too complicated to do make it a half block type thing where you'd actually be in the center of the platform. So you just land on the flat part of the blocks, and that's totally fine. It just works, you know? That's not an awful way of doing it. It's functional, it's cool. This level completely betrays your expectation because with this robot part, you are made to land in the halfway point of these platforms. They go back 4 blocks, right? Which is deeper than you're used to seeing in this game. Okay, that's fine. That's still cool. It's visually interesting. But you land in the middle of the platform, which is just so disorienting because I can never tell where the safe landing zone is. I cut so many jumps short in that part because I was trying to land on the main block at the bottom of the structure, or not the bottom of the structure, but the foundation of the structure, and then I would die because I was supposed to land a block higher than that because that's where the 3D effect shows it. It is so frustrating. It is terrible. It's such a baffling design decision that makes sense in theory, but in execution, it just plays like garbage, man. That is such a terrible level design decision. And an otherwise okay level. Is it excellent? No, not really. It's got its derivative stuff kind of in relation to Geometrical Dominator. Mostly in this part, it feels like. But it's not an awful level. It's just a pretty simple 2.0 level that does some cool things visually. But man, this part here, especially with the coin, is awful. This is a terrible, terrible section. And I hate it with every fiber in my being. I would give this level a 5. It would have been a fine 6 without that part. But with it, God, I just could not enjoy this level. I hate that part so much. Stupid robot. But whatever, you know, it is what it is. Glad to have that out of the way. That makes me happy. It's 2 lists out of the way because this one also has that level in it. I knew that when I went into this, but I just thought it'd be cool to do it in the other one. But why not, right? So yeah, 2 lists in the books. Fun. Okay. Well, that was mildly frustrating, but I don't hate it. It's just whatever.
There we go. God! It didn't even take that long, I said it like it. That's all. Meh. Yeah, it's not very good. I don't like this level that much. Like, if you like this style of gameplay, I can see why you'd enjoy this level. It's a faster paced style of gameplay. Kind of, it's somewhere on the brink of flow gameplay, although I don't feel like the game move switches are rapid enough to really call it flow gameplay, but it's something along those lines. And I just don't like it in this level. It's not very fun. It's just a solid gameplay I'm not too fond of in the first place, but then you add the fact that this level has a lot of moving objects and flashy visuals and a kind of mediocre song, and at the end of the day, I just don't love it, or like it for that matter. I respect it for what it is. I don't hate it, but it still gets a 3 in my books, just because I just did not enjoy this level at all. The learning process playing it just all kind of irritated me because it's got so many little intricate things, because it's got like this sometimes click sync pattern to it, where sometimes you click to the music, but other times you kind of have to skip a click or something and then go into this completely separate rhythm. It's weird, it's dumb. Again, I can't stress enough, if this were a style I liked, then I'd probably enjoy this, and I don't think it's an inherently bad level, but it just didn't interest me or grab me. And that's not even mentioning the visuals, which look good. Like, I respect the cleanliness of these visuals and the technical execution of them. Like, obviously a lot of work went into making them as good as possible, but nothing really caught my attention in that regard either, because it just kind of looks samey throughout. Yeah, I'd give it a 3. Again, not because I hate it or anything, but just because I just don't care. Otherwise, that was fine, though. Good enough, good enough. Oh yeah, okay. That was an interesting level. Okay, I like the design style of it a lot. I think that's pretty cool. Like this, I like this weird kind of tan color. You don't see a lot of levels with this color scheme. It's very tan and with some gray and black in it, with also some splashes of red throughout, which are pretty neat because they add like a really striking element to this otherwise super dull and desolate feeling level. Like, this level just feels kind of boring, not non-derogatory. It feels deliberately boring, is what I should say. Like, the color scheme is meant to be actively like unappealing, but then it adds that red and it adds like this real flair to the level, which from an artistic standpoint I think is really cool. Now, what does that represent? I don't know. The level's called Peeled Skin, which is, first of all, gross, but I mean, I guess if you want to pretend this tan color is skin and then the red is like the peeling, which is still disgusting, but like, that's really my only interpretation for it. Anyway, I do think the visual effects in this level are really cool. It definitely looks the part. The gameplay has, I don't know, it's kind of fun, but it also has a couple of really weird individual decisions that I don't care for particularly. Mostly revolving moving objects, just weird moments where something shifts out of the way at a really annoying time, or into place at a really annoying time.
It doesn't happen a lot, but when it does happen, it gets on my nerves. Just in those few moments where it does. Which is frustrating. And, you know, I also just don't feel much of an atmosphere here. I usually like horror music. This song didn't really appeal to me all too much. I think it does kind of at the level, but at the same time it feels too intense for a level that's allegedly desolate and boring, like I said, thematically. So, I don't know. I think I would have liked to see something more atmospheric. I'm also kind of biased because this level reminds me of Dry Bones, which uses a similar color scheme, but it also does it a lot better. Just, you know, from a environmental standpoint. But I'm just being a little critical there, and it's kind of unfair to compare it to another level that may or may not have been involved in inspiration. It might have come after this level, for all I know. This level's kind of old now, right? Yeah, 4 years. I don't know. It's an alright level. I also think it's kind of short, so I feel like if it were longer, I feel like maybe I could have seen myself giving this a solid 7. I'm feeling a 6. It still does some really cool things, but I just had those weird gameplay issues, and the level feels way too short to really stay with me. So I think just a low B tier is fine. Not too bad all around. One of the better levels I played on this list, dude. The Canadians do not make good levels. I'm only like half serious, but dude, some of these levels drove me nuts. I spent like, it took me 2 sessions to get through 10 levels. That's how ridiculous. Maybe I just made bad choices. And I mean, like, to be fair, only a couple of those actually were time sinks, but jeez, dude. I really would have liked to get through those faster to save time. Oh well. Good for me, I did it. There we go. Yeah, good for me. Dude, this is kind of heartbreaking. Okay, so this is a level that I did play on my old account and remember really loving. Like, I think it was like on my phone or something. So there's also that to take into consideration. Like, I was just playing on mobile, which is not the ideal way to play. But, you know, I played it about, 2 years ago probably? Is it 2 years old? Nah, not 2 years old yet. I think I played it around the summer of 2024 though. Anyway, this level, I remember loving when I played it for the first time. I think the gameplay is relatively creative and stuff, and I think it has very creative coin ideas too. That's part of why I enjoyed it at that time. But I think I remember I struggled really hard with this, and I think I chalked up a lot of that to me being bad at the game. I wasn't that great. I mean, like, I could beat moderately difficult stuff, but like, I was playing on my phone, like I said. Anyway, so yeah, keep that in mind. But at this point, I don't think I can blame me being bad anymore. I think I can blame the level being bad. Because, oh my god, here's the thing, the raw gameplay is like so good. Like, I think there's a lot of fun stuff just like at the core of this level. But then the camera movements are just awful. They are so nauseating, and
blind and awful. I hate the camera movements in this level. It is so over the top. And I just could not stand it this time around, especially the coins. There's some timings in the coin in particular that are just so much harder because the camera is not, like, I can't even see the gameplay. Like, there's that one swing click, there's the first key in the last stretch of the level, there's that double spike in the cube section where the camera randomly jerks like 45 degrees as you jump, which is just the worst thing. This level has such terrible camera movement. Again, absolute tragedy. The level itself is really, really good at its core. Really fun. I want to like this level, and I still like it in some ways, and maybe if I weren't going for the coins it wouldn't be as infuriating, but dude, what it screws up really, really bothers me. I mean, I like the level still, it's fine, but I did not enjoy this as much as I remembered, and I would give it like a 5. Which is just kind of devastating because I think there's a really good level at the core of that. That's just not good anymore to me. What a bummer. What a bummer. It's okay. I mean, we can move on, but I'm sad. There we go. Nice. Fluking the last ship cube duel. I feel so good about myself. With the unusual strategy, mind you. Wow. That was actually kind of awesome. I love this level. Like, I'm at this point, kind of with the amount of levels I've played, like 1.9 stuff, I'm like kind of expecting, like, you know, these levels are gonna play alright. They're gonna be fun, but like they're not gonna do anything really creative enough to rise above like a solid 7 out of 10, right? That's how most of these are, and I've remained mostly correct on that. There's obviously exceptions, you know. I played Acropolis a few months back. That was kind of an outlier, and there are others, no doubt, but there aren't that many. But this just felt so good, and it kind of tells me, you know, there's a lot of potential for 1.9 stuff that just doesn't get used all that often. Like, this is super creative. The designs aren't anything extraordinary. Like, they look good, they're very clean. I like the minimalism, but it still feels like there's enough going on to just kind of feel really immersive and develop its own identity, I guess. Is the best way of putting it. But, like, that's really not the main draw of the level, because, like, the main draw of the level is definitely the gameplay. This level is just so fun. I mean, I wasn't really expecting it, because I kind of saw some snippets of this level. I was like, looks more or less like the 7 out of 10 simple 1.9 style level I'm used to, you know, the ones I've played a ton of. That's just kind of the impression I got from watching it, and through my first practice run, I guess. But the more I played it, the more I just got into a groove with this level. Like, I think my favorite part has to be the wave with the intermittent cube jumps. That part just feels so satisfying because it syncs to the song great, and then it feels so awesome to break out of that cycle into these free flying shit parts. It's just got such a great flow to it and really interesting gameplay composition. And then beyond that, you've just got some really interesting mechanics, such as the ending duel, which is tough to learn, but once you figure it out, it just feels great. Especially the shipping cube duel. I already mentioned it, but like I know most people just straight fly through that, but it feels so much more satisfying to me just to hit those blue pads with the ship, because it adds like this bit of weightiness to your movement, and it really, really feels cool to do it in that way. And it also just felt easier to me, but I guess I'm alone on that because I've never seen anyone else do that. Although I've only watched a handful of completions of this. Maybe it's more common than I think. That was just a really fun thing to me, though. There's just so many really interesting gameplay ideas, and even the ones that aren't super interesting, they feel good. The memory all feels fair. Like, there's a little bit of tricky stuff, but it doesn't feel overwhelming to the point where it's like, just get this click pattern in your brain. You know, you can remember the fake stuff easily enough. Lots of fluid flying and wave gameplay and all that stuff. Great song rep. I had a great time with this. This was really fun. Way more than I was anticipating, honestly. I wasn't expecting a bad level by any means, but I also, you know, I just wasn't like expecting the world from this, and yet I got it, kind of. So that's a solid 8 out of 10. I'm happy with this. This is fun. Flag Lipa, Insendium, good times. I liked that. Okay. I don't know. I think the level has some neat visual elements, but it also has a lot of repetition, which just kind of bores me, if I'm being totally honest. And the gameplay is also kind of boring. Very repetition-based. It's not bad. I think everything's perfectly functional, so I don't have any problem with it in that regard. It's just, I don't really enjoy it, though. It's, you know, a lot of click patterns, very repetitive sections that are just kind of like done twice. Like, you've got that one part that's just like the same thing twice in a row, but with flipped gravity, and the rest of it is just redundant patterns, which did not feel very engaging to me personally. And also, I just don't like this song very much. This song, I've heard it in another level at one point, another demon I played back in like last June. And I just didn't like it then, and I don't like it now, even in the context of what is probably a better level. Yeah, overall, this is kind of mid. I would probably go with a 5 on it. I still think it does some visual things that are neat, but at the same time, it's also sort of like minimalism that looks clean and cool, but doesn't really have a lot of style. I mean, I don't know. It's okay, just not really my favorite. Yeah, it's a decent 5, I guess, but I don't hate it.
that it? Yay! I mean, I could still die, but yeah, I'm chilling. Heck yeah. Okay, I actually didn't die to the boss as much as I worried I was going to. I thought I was going to get slaughtered at the boss. Or quote-unquote boss. It's not really much of a fight by the end of it, but, you know, it's a creative ending. The rest of the level is not quite as creative. It's a hell level. Can you believe it? The level called Helltaker takes place in hell. And it feels kind of generic, low-key, but, like, I like it, but at the same time, meh. Like, it has some cool designs. I like the structuring and stuff. That's pretty neat. But it being in hell just makes it feel a little bit... Like, it kind of takes away from the personality just a little bit. But, you know, the visuals aren't really my big complaint with it, because they're quite good, even if it's a generic setting. My issue really stems more from the gameplay, which, honestly, I feel like isn't that bad. Like, this is my thing with the level. It feels really unintuitive. Like, it feels like it doesn't have a lot of clarity to it. Doesn't make a lot of sense. But I don't know if that's genuinely how I feel, or if that's just an idea the level has planted in my brain. Because this level has, like, these weird, like, text blurbs that pop up at certain places where you die with, like, pro tips. You know? Hit this orb later, or yada yada yada, you get it. Which just makes it presents this, like, lack of trust on the behalf of the creator in their own product, because it's like they acknowledge that the gameplay is not natural and it's weird, and they want to make it easier for the player. They want to streamline it just through telling them what to do, but that doesn't really make me feel any better about the level's quality. Like, I don't know. I still enjoyed this level, but I had a couple of parts that really rubbed me the wrong way. And that was kind of a disappointment, because, you know, again, it's a really cool level. Like, gameplay, just, like, the raw gameplay is. I like how it syncs sometimes. There's some neat ideas. The boss is surprisingly fun, even if the chain idea is a little bit weird. Like, some of the gaps feel really awkward to go through, but it's not awful. But I don't know, there was just something odd about this level. I liked it for the most part. I'd give it a very, very high 5, I'd say. I would probably rank this, like, I don't even know where I would rank this one. Probably just, like, at the top of C tier. Maybe bottom of B tier if I'm feeling generous, but I think I'd probably rate this, like, somewhere, like, just below, like, just above Stalemate, probably, if I had to guess. I don't know, I'll look into it more later. It's just kind of an on-the-fly, whimsical rating. I still like, it's a good level, though. Yeah. No major issues, just could be a little better. I don't hate it. That's right. Not right, but I got it. Wow. Dude, it's not even that hard. Like, like, that normal attempt count, I let my little sister play this for a little bit earlier, and she kind of spiked the attempt count in normal mode, so I feel like I have to be, like, have to at least be under 25 normal mode attempts. This was, like, tricky to learn. Oh my gosh. Like, that took me no time to beat. And what was that a fluke from? 33. Fluke from 33. In a bat calf carried level, I mean, dude, I was so misled on the difficulty of this level because this is, like, a 15 on the GDDL, which is crazy for a hard demon. That's, like, you know, the highest degree of hard demon difficulty. Yet I found it easier than both Prismatic Domain and Flak Lipa. That's actually, Flak Lipa is debatable, but definitely harder than Prismatic Domain. And that was only, like, what, a 13? Or a 14? 14 probably. Anyway, I do like this level in a lot of ways. Other ways, not so much. I'll just preface by saying I think this is a solid 8. I really wanted to go 9. These visuals are gorgeous, dude. It credits 2003 Devin, which I can definitely see in the influence. It's got that really gritty, harsh style. But what I like about it, in comparison to Devin levels, is how it uses such, like, a beautiful and uplifting environment. Because not all, but most Devin levels have this really, like, ominous feel to them. They are really focused on, like, destruction and, like, more hostile environments. And while this does feel hostile in some ways, considering you've got the skulls and the and, like, just kind of like these sharper flower designs in general, like these spike pillars, it still just feels like a more uplifting environment. Like, even with those things, it feels kind of like it feels more like a cultural thing than anything. Almost like a sort of Dia de los Muertos aesthetic, which I just really loved with the combination of all the flowers and stuff. Like, the flowers look so gorgeous in this level, and it has, like, a really nice focus on plant life, which is great. But I do like how it uses that gritty style in a less, like what's a good word to describe it? In a less defiant way, I guess. Because that's how pretty much all Devin levels feel. And by association, Xylinox. Although even then, I think with this level, even though it's clearly inspired by Devin and Xylinox, it also has, like, a bit of Skywalker feel to me. I think that's mostly just through the skull art. But these flowers look like they're straight out of, not really, but they look very similar to what you'd see in, say, for example, Cheer Up My Brothers. Lots of striking colors. They're a little desaturated, but they also feel bright in a way. Like, it's such a weird, like, contrast. Because, yes, they're a little bit toned down, but they're just presented in such a beautiful way. That goes really strongly with, like, the bright blue background and the white structures surrounding them. It's just a really gorgeous level. I love the way this looks. Probably one of my favorite levels in the game visually, quite honestly. And I really would have loved to give this a 9. The gameplay could be better. It's not bad per se. A couple of transitions are a little finicky, a little bit awkward. Mostly near the beginning, but there's just some really weird things. Also, some foreground objects that obscure the vision. Overall, it's just kind of hard to tell where you're going in certain parts of the level. And other parts aren't much better because they do have some weird reliance on super hyper-specific orb click timings, which don't feel very satisfying. Especially in the second half of the level with the UFO. Because, like, some of them just those clicks don't feel like they interact with the UFO in the right way. You might hit something that doesn't feel like you should be able to hit it. It's just, I don't know, it is a little bit awkward. And I didn't hate it, but it was a lot more meticulous than I would have really hoped for with this level. But I don't think it's awful. The gameplay I'd still probably give like a 6 out of 10 or something. I don't score gameplay individually, but I've just been kind of thinking to myself more about how I'd score gameplay. And it's like, it's passable, and it can be fun at moments, but it does have some flaws. But, like, none of those flaws are major enough to really bring the level down for me, and I still think the level looks gorgeous. That's absolutely this level's strongest suit. I just think it's beautiful. I remember seeing this for the first time, like, just this thumbnail, and then doing a quick skim through of it, and just knowing I wanted to play this at some point. This level has been on my agenda just for a good while now. I've just always found it really eye-catching and creative. And I guess I should mention that the song is also a really good fit because, again, usually when you usually with like a Debihan level, you have some sort of metal song or just like this really weird sort of rock vibe, but this has this orchestral beautiful piece by Meophone, and it just works really nicely in this context. It's such a change of pace from what I'd expect to see out of this style, but it just works. It works really well. I love this level, and I really, really wanted to rate it a little bit higher, but I did want the gameplay to feel a little bit better, which it did not. It's not a deal breaker though. It's just a blemish on what could have been an otherwise really, really great level. But otherwise, I think this is beautiful. And I'm happy to have gotten that one out of the way. Okay. Dude, this is awesome. Sick. This is a great level. I love this. It's very, very relaxing, very serene. And it's really beautiful. I love the design style of this level. I love how it uses like these really soft colors in the design with little bits of, like mostly whites, but some very soft blues and soft yellows. That just looks really nice. There's some other colors in there too, but it has like this very like bright color scheme that just feels like super tranquil in the context of this level. And the song helps with that a lot too, because it's just very like down tempo and relaxing. It just fits the vibe of this perfectly. Super, super immersive level, I would say. And I think the visuals just are great in and of themselves. I mean, you know, atmosphere aside, some sort of temple-like architecture. You've got some parts that are a little bit on the raw side, in a good way. Non-derogatory, I will have to just clarify. But some parts also just look really intricate and nice, and you can see a lot of detail went into them, like with these structures and stuff. And that's throughout the whole level. The gameplay overall, I think, is pretty fun. It's claustrophobic, but claustrophobic in a way that feels satisfying, kind of like a Flash level. That's what came to mind. I thought of Planispheres a lot when I played this. Not everywhere, but for a lot of places. The only thing that I would complain about in terms of gameplay, it's two things, really. First of all, these star hazards can kind of be a little ambiguous. They don't really look like hazards just because they sort of blend in with the overall theme of the level. Like, this, for example, would blend in with the rotating object. I think they rotate, maybe they don't. Snapshot of the level, what's hard to tell. But it blends in with the other yellow stuff. So something like that could easily throw me off. And that happened a number of times. And it always felt a little unfair, but not terrible. But there were a couple orbs that I would click early just because I couldn't tell that there was a hazard there. It felt unintuitive in a way, but only a couple places. And the other part is just like in a couple of the cube/robot parts, it was a little hard to tell like where the flat ground was, especially around the halfway point. Around the 50 mark, because that's where my PBs were. Around that point, you had a couple of funky interactions with the ground because it's slopey and it's got some difficult 3D to parse. If level cleaned those couple of nitpicks up, I feel like this would have been a pretty solid 9. I would go with a high 8 though. This was super fun. I enjoyed this a lot. Even though it was a pretty short experience, 54 attempts is light work for a demon. Equal attempts in practice, and yeah, that's funny. Overall, I enjoyed this though. It was a good time. It's kind of a shame it's not epic rated, but at the same time, it's a Nong song, and it's a pretty old level. So before Nong songs had a little more. Oh, it's not an old level. I guess Rob Top just has bad taste. Okay, never mind. Overall, pretty good though. Fun. Tricky. Really like the look of this level. It looks super cool. Very trippy. Nice. Not too bad. Alright, that's an interesting one. Okay, yeah. 2 days. Wow. That's actually pretty impressive for 2 days, I won't lie. Okay, so yeah, with this level, I really like the visual style of it. It kind of reminds me of Monument Valley. If you've ever heard of that game. I feel like most people probably have. But the game with kind of like the weird 3D perspective, it's got a very liminal feel to it. I like that because you've got these repetitive structures that feel really weird. The song doesn't really match that, but the level looks really cool with these very like polyagonal, I guess, or polygonal structures, whatever the word is. But they feel very repetitive in shape. Maybe primitive is the word I'm looking for. Whatever. Either way, it doesn't matter. But they have a very certain style, or particular style to them that looks really cool, I think. With all the repetition and stuff, it just creates a really bizarre environment. I love how that contrasts with other elements like these trees and stuff, because these look all fluffy and weird. Then it like really contrasts with the more like man-made structures in the level. And I wish I could see more parts of it in this snapshot, but it has a really, really cool vibe to it. I especially like the last part, because, you know, that structure exists in the background as well as in the main ground where you play the level. That's really neat. The whole level looks super cool. The gameplay is lackluster. I wouldn't even say that, actually. It's pretty fun. Very indicator heavy, and sometimes the orbs can have kind of irritating timings that just feel a little awkward. Especially the last section had some orb timings that sucked because you had to hit them late, but you couldn't really tell you to hit them late because the spikes that you would land on were a bit further than it looked like. Couldn't really judge it from where you were, and with how high CPS this level is, it can be even harder to judge in that regard. Not that it's like super spammy or anything, but it does require you to do quite a few clicks per second. I enjoy this level a lot though. I love the style of it. Honestly, I'll give it a low 7. That's fine. I think the style of this level is just really cool, and I had a decent enough time with it, even if it is a bit on the short side. And there's a 90 diamond list done. Isn't that awesome? I really don't have very many, or really have a need for diamonds at this moment, because I've already unlocked all the stuff in the diamond shop. But one day I'll top will add more stuff to the diamond shop, but it's another list in the books, and I'm getting so close to 200 lists. It's 30 to go. Which is pretty awesome. close to dying at the end. Oh my god. My heart skipped a beat, dude. Lord. Have mercy. Oh, thank God that's over. Extreme number 5 in the books. Let's go. Okay. Gosh, this one's so weird, but I love it in certain ways. Okay. Gosh, I still can't believe I did that like I did. I don't even remember what the situation was, but I got so close to dying when I absolutely should not have, but I'm just so happy I survived, because I was over it so much. Okay. This is definitely the most interesting Extreme Demon I've completed so far. I'm going to come back around to it. Let's just open up the list here. Not like it matters that much. That's the most recently rated too. That's cool. Anyway. So, it's an interesting one because this is the first one that really doesn't test you in a lot of skill areas. Following Up is borderline because it still only uses like 4 game modes. Like you've got Cube, Ship, Wave, and I think there's like one more. But it doesn't do a ton of game mode switching. And this is similar. It's Cube and Ship all the way through. And it's just long stretches of those 2 game modes. I mean, there is not a ton happening in this level. It's a lot of the same thing over and over again. So it's definitely a different kind of Extreme Demon because it's not going to push a lot of skill sets. But I feel like that makes this level easier. It's kind of like the logic I would apply to, say, Pillars. Like, that level's all robot, nothing else, very consistent. So, yes, the difficulty is technically really high. The stuff you're made to execute is difficult. But it being the same sort of playstyle the whole way through means, like, no part feels out of place, and you can stay adjusted to that gameplay style. And this is similar to that, because like once you get locked into that cube jump headspace, because that's what most of this level is, especially at the beginning, once you get locked into that headspace, you're able to really kind of commit to that. You don't have to like re-adapt to the game style once you get back to that part at like 60%. It's just there the whole time. You never really lose touch with it. Ship, I can get a little bit hazy with sometimes, because if I get stuck at the beginning for a long stretch of playtime, yeah, I start to disassociate from the game mode, or the ship game mode, and I have to sort of readjust when I start to get there consistently again. But, I mean, it still remains pretty consistent. So that made this a really interesting playing experience. And I would say it that for that reason, it felt like the easiest Extreme I've done to me, which is weird because it's the highest rated on the GDDL. It's a 22 on the GDDL. It's ranked like let me just verify this. But that's ranked 1072 compared to Falling Up, which is 1159. So there's a little bit of a difficulty gap there, and I Never Dream is allegedly harder, but it just didn't feel that way to me. It definitely felt a lot more accessible to me in particular. But anyways, that's just kind of an analysis of the experience and the difficulty of it. Let's talk about the level itself. There's a lot of things I really love about this level. I think once you get into a flow state with this level, it feels really good. You can have a lot of fun with this one, especially the ship parts. It just feels really satisfying to do some of those swerves. It's fast-paced, it's fluid, but sometimes it pulls back the speed a little bit and really makes you think meticulously about what you're doing. It does remain pretty fast for most of that time, but not all of it. But either way, the flow state of this level is really fun, and it does kind of jump between 2 styles, because you've got the slower-paced cube gameplay at the start, which feels really jagged, really crisp, and a lot tighter, it makes it feel really interesting, because it switches up so much when it goes into the faster parts, and it adds more flow, and that makes it easier as it goes. So it's definitely a downward difficulty progression. That sort of spikes again at the end when you get to that final cube. But the balancing and difficulty of this overall is pretty well done. And as well as having fun gameplay, at least at the point of it being like a layout. I think at its core, it's good gameplay. Now, this is the one thing I really had a gripe with this gameplay, and it wasn't a deal breaker for me by any means. But I feel like the hitboxes in this level can be really particular in an annoying way, because it uses, a custom art style, which is something you don't see in a ton of Extreme Demons. At least in my experience, most Extreme Demons, you kind of want the difficulty to be really well defined. Or not the difficulty, the sprites to be really well defined. You want to know what kills you, at what point. You want to be familiar with that. But this level kind of strays away from that, because it's one of the few, well, I haven't played enough Extremes, but it's one of the few just hard levels in general that I've played where the hitboxes have a lot of ambiguity. Pretty much, it's weird, because pretty much everything in this level kills you if it's not in the background. Like, all of the flowers are interactive, all of the blocks are interactive, obviously. Just every little detail in the main layer of this level is interactive. Whether that kills you or whether it's a ground object is up in the air, or a pad for that matter, because you've got flowers or pads that are textured as flowers, which is neat. I actually really like that. It gives a lot of life to the floral identity of this level, I suppose you could say. But regardless, I do think some of the hitboxes at certain points can be a little on the ambiguous side, which really led to a lot of deaths that weren't technically unfair, but they kind of felt unfair. Like, there was one yellow orb in particular around the halfway point, maybe a little bit earlier, that got on my nerves in particular, because it led you... basically, you had to hit it low enough to not hit one of the upper... or lower flowers, you're upside down. But you have to not hit an overhead flower, but it feels really awkward because it's a little bit off screen, and the flower texture kind of fans out at the end. It's not quite as sharp and defined. So I would hit that hitbox in a lot of attempts, and it was just weird because I couldn't really see that. Like, when you think about it, it makes sense. Like, you can kind of adjust where that hitbox is, but just going into it from the angle you are, it's something you don't really realize until after you've already died to it. So that's something that frustrated me, and it also applies to the ground in some areas. I feel like the cloudy textures in around the halfway point started to also become a little bit hard to judge, especially because you're forced to click off the edges of them a lot, like hitting a black orb, for example, right after you fall off of a platform, made even harder with the ship game mode because of the floatiness. So it did a lot of that, and that was, again, something I could eventually adapt to, but it did make certain deaths feel a little cheap, hard to predict. I just didn't feel completely in control. I still enjoyed this level for the most part. The gameplay, again, at its core, very fun. It's just decorated in such a way that feels a little bit unfair. But don't think that's like a major criticism, that's just a little thing. And like the other thing about this level, I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. I love how raw it feels while still having this intricate line art with its flowers, but you have like the default 2.0 looking flower designs in tandem with these beautiful hand-drawn ones that just have a lot of detail and intricate beauty to them. I love that. But despite all those gorgeous details, the level, for a Skywalker level in particular, just feels a little weird to me. I mean, it's very much the same style throughout. The whole level looks about the same. It does progress, but like, not in that it progresses from location to location. It's more about the same location changing up as you go, which is a unique approach, but it just... and it does work in tandem with the song, but it just didn't make for the most compelling Extreme Demon completion. Relative to the other Extreme Demons, I would probably call this my least favorite, but don't take that as like a major like criticism. It's just, I don't think it quite stacks up to everything else, which has a lot of variety or just extremely solid gameplay, because AQ is definitely the gameplay carry. That one's more or less the same from an atmospheric standpoint. But anyways, I would definitely probably rank this at the bottom of my Extreme Demon ladder for now. Obviously, I'll stay a little ambiguous on the rating as I do with Extreme Demons. I like to keep that a bit under wraps until a later point where I will reveal the scoring for each one of them. I actually was about to accidentally say what I'd score it, but told myself back. But at some point in time, you will see exactly what I would rate this level. But either way, I think it's a good level. Is it my favorite Extreme Demon? No. It stumbled in a few areas, but overall, I think it's a pretty well designed experience, and I did have a lot of fun with it. And again, it being a little bit easier means it didn't drain me quite as hard, so that was appreciated. Good stuff all around. Happy to play a slightly more underground Extreme Demon. I picked this one because it was like not extremely obscure, but it's definitely not as huge as Misty Mountains and Accu and Falling Up and Lost Existence. Like, these ones are all pretty monumental, whereas this one, I mean, it's not even featured, so like, you know, it stays a little more under wraps. So I was happy to try that out, and it's a very unique style, so I'm always happy to play a level like that. And it was a good choice, I think, for a 5th Extreme. I had a good time. And that's April done. Only like 23 days overtime. Time to rush through May, because I've fallen way behind. Good times, right? Gotta love it.